Why, you may ask yourself, am I standing in a tree? And to that I answer, why not? Everyone should go stand in trees more often, I think. Also, this tree is enormous. This is one of the live oak trees that's on our property. And I feel that this tree deserves to have its moment on YouTube because it is just so incredible. So we're going to do a little tour of the tree here in just a moment. But first, I thought I would use this opportunity while I'm standing in the tree to tell you what today's vlog is going to be about. Mostly. It'll have other things in it too, I'm sure, but Dave and I are definitely going to crawl underneath the RV today. The plan is to get a piece of paper and pencil and draw a diagram of how the hydraulic system is arranged. That way we will have that as a reference when we begin to put the system back together after we take it all apart, so that we can repair components and replace hoses and try to figure out any sort of problems so we can fix them before we hit the road. So without further ado, let's look at this tree. So I am standing in this tree, and I did use a chair to assist me in climbing up here. It's just a little bit taller than I can comfortably climb into without scratching the crap out of myself. These are the upper limbs. I mean, look at this. This thing is... ugh. I really love trees. At this time of the year, the live oak trees shed their leaves, which this one has already done. You can see on the ground it's just covered with leaf litter. Then they look kind of naked and like something's wrong with them for a short while. Then they immediately begin to put on new leaves, and they also make their little flowers, which, let's see if I can get close enough to some. See over there, those little dangly things? Those are the flowers, which shed a wonderful little green pollen that gets all over everything. And some people are also highly allergic to the pollen. I think I am slightly affected by it. All these leaves are new leaves, and they're very light lime green in color. And as they mature, they turn dark green and they get really leathery and tough. And then the tree keeps those leaves for the entire rest of the year until next year, early spring. They will once again shed their leaves and immediately grow new ones. So they are never completely defoliated. Okay, here's where I crawled up. This is getting down to the trunk of this tree. And just look at this. I could walk, if I was brave, I could walk out on that limb. And this one, I mean, there's trees that are, this is like a tree-sized limb. It's just incredible to think what this tree must weigh with all of its, what you see above the ground, and then just imagine all of the roots that are underneath the ground. I'm back on the ground. I made it. Let me walk you around. You can see some of the roots. Like here's one that came up out of the ground. And there are other ones around the tree too. But this thing is enormous. I am wondering if there isn't some sort of calculation that you can estimate the age of the tree based on the circumference of the trunk. And if so, I should get on the internet and try to find it. This is what we're having for lunch. Brussels sprouts, potatoes,
Yeah.
mushrooms, onions, cauliflower. What's in the boiling pot?
Some noodles.
We have a lot of work to do in here, in the workshop department, to thin out some of the unnecessary stuff that we won't be taking with us in the RV, and figuring out how we're going to fit the things that we want to take into the trailer. This area over here includes our screw and bolt and nail and various washers and other fittings collection. Not all of this is going to be able to make the trip. So this is all going to require sorting. Well, here we go.
This is the main pump for the hydraulics here, the one with the big belt on it.
Yeah.
Big tractor belt or whatever. And that compresses the fluid. I'm not sure what kind of pump it is, if it's a vane pump or what, but I would guess it's a vane pump.
Getting her all figured out?
No.
No? Wrong answer.
Even if it's in a week, I won't remember this.
This whole, once we begin to take this hydraulic system apart, this could stay apart for
You're filming us?
a while. Hence the drawing and the video. Completed your drawing.
You can't see it from there.
Well, I'm gonna grab the camera in a minute and put it on you, but now we're gonna explain the drawing.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
We needed a drawing too, so we don't forget how it all goes together and how it was routed in the first place.
Dave made the drawing, so if it's wrong, it's his fault.
And this could be apart for a while, the way things go around here. It could be a month. I wouldn't remember all this in a week, so.
You want to set that down, or you gonna hold it, or what?
And point at it.
Okay, here's a drawing.
Alright. This is the reservoir. And the big line out of the reservoir goes over to the pump. And then out of the pump there's two pressure lines. There's a pressure line that goes to the power steering and then back to the reservoir. And then there's another pressure line that's a big line that comes out of the bottom of the pump. Goes down to some sort of valve down at the bottom where it's got two lines that go to the radiator. There's a radiator. The radiator switch, I just labeled which one was closer to the wall or to the radiator so I could know which one was which. There's two small lines. Some of the ones that are chafed that we're probably going to have to replace. But anyways, it goes straight through that valve to the top of one fan, and then down, out the bottom, and then to the top of the other fan, and then out the bottom, then back through that switch again, whatever it is, I'll have to figure that out, and then back out of the switch, around to the filter, into the filter, out of the filter, and then to the cooler, and out of the cooler, and back to the reservoir. Then it looks like some sort of a bypass line comes out of each motor. It's a small line, and then it goes up to the side of the reservoir. I think when the motor isn't running, or if there's, you know, like a bypass, I'm not sure what it does, but we'll figure that out too. And that's about it. As far as the filter blowing up, the filter could blow up because the cooler is blocked. You know, we'll have to take that cooler apart and make sure it's not all full of gunk or something. Because if the cooler gets blocked up, and then it would, you know, it would build pressure to the filter. Or we had read on the internet there might be some sort of P valve in here some sort of check valve. And if that gets blocked off, then it would pressurize everything and blow out the cooler too. But my suspicion is that these two ports out of the pump, the big one is probably a lower pressure line that feeds the fans, and then the smaller one is the higher pressure that goes to the power steering. But we'll figure that out eventually.
So the hydraulic jacks are on a different system, you think?
I think so. I don't see any lines that go to the jack system, and I didn't see a reservoir up there, but I don't know how exactly how that pump works. So we're gonna have to figure out how the pump works and where the fluid is for the jack system.